স্যার পিকেজে স্যার
হ্যাঁ, yes.
please open your video, sir. I want to just introduce you to madam. And madam, Professor Amrit Chatterjee is also here of Jadavpur University. You might be knowing him. Sir, Madam Kiran Kaur is also there.
Yes.
She has joined here.
Good
Yes,
evening.
good afternoon.
Good evening. And although COVID has gone, still, madam, Librarians Day is celebrating everywhere here.
I see.
So most of our faculties, they are busy in different celebrations.
I see.
So we couldn't we sit in our department together. We had a plan to sit together and organize this seminar from department itself.
Okay.
But everybody became busy, and so that we couldn't. So we are sitting in our residential premises only. Only sir, our head of the department, Professor Piyush Kantijana, he is in the
Good
department.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This
How many members?
Smita and Vidyasagar are there. They have also joined.
Okay. Smita madam, please open your the video. And Vidyatida,
So mostly here today are department members.
mostly, madam.
Your department members here today.
Yes.
Participants.
Yes.
Department members, faculty here, sir is there, me, and Vidyati Dotto. Dada, please on your video.
Rita set is there.
Kiran madam, good afternoon. This is Dr. Nabi Hassan from IIT Delhi. I once met you at University of
Yes.
Malaya long back.
Yes, I
think the
remember.
series of the conference was it was third perhaps in the series.
I think you came for the iCollis.
Yeah, I call it.
Scientific Information and
Yeah,
Society.
wonderful place, wonderful country. So I'm very much here to listen you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you again.
Welcome, sir. Nabi Hassan, sir. Thank you, sir. I know you are busy in the morning also. I found that you had a program at your premises,
So,
University.
yeah, it's a day of celebration. So we are enjoying
Yes,
the
sir.
birthday of our father of librarians.
Professor Durga Shankar Raut is also celebrating Librarians Day at IIT Kharagpur. He has gone there for the speech.
Yeah, great.
Otherwise, he also would have been here.
No, yeah.
Oh, sir is there. Sir.
Good morning, sir.
Their program at evening.
Evening. Nivedita is there.
Rita, she has joined.
Sir, our dean, let me call our dean sir once. Our dean sir is also there. Sir, dean sir.
Namaskar.
Yeah.
Professor Tapan Kumar De, our dean, faculty of Arts and Commerce of Vidyasagar University. Sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's audible, sir. Most of us should, our video should be off because I think network problem is going on. Sir. Sir, video. Sir.
Yes. তাহলে কি শুরু করে দেবো সোমেন?
স্যার? হ্যাঁ স্যার।
শুরু করে দাও তাহলে নাকি?
হ্যাঁ স্যার। স্যারকে বলি। স্যার ডিন স্যার শুরু করি?
हाँ शुरू करो शुरू करो क्यों
জাস্ট a moment, just a minute. So this Bhaskar Mukherjee is also there, I think. So Professor Bhaskar Mukherjee sir is there.
Probably no.
yes
Okay.
I am here
Sir, please,
Okay,
sir,
thank you.
please,
Yes.
sir, switch on your video, please, sir. Just informal a chat and then we'll start, sir.
Professor Bhaskar Mukherjee.
Okay. Okay, should we proceed?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
And this is a auspicious occasion. We are celebrating both the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav to celebrate our 75th independence of our nation, and also celebrating this Librarians Day. And we are very much proud to have all these eminent personalities. We are talking informally. Now, formally, we wish to start this webinar, and I would like to call our head of the department, sir, Professor Piyush Kantijana, and also the joint convener of this webinar. Sir, please take this microphone and you proceed, sir.
Thank you. Dr.
And sir will be delivering the welcome address.
Respected President of this webinar, and our respected teacher, Professor Amrit Chatterjee, former Professor, Department of Library and Information Science, Jadavpur University, Kolkata. Our respected Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Commerce, Professor Tapon Kumar De, inaugurator of this webinar. Honorable keynote speaker of this webinar, Dr. Kiran Kao, Professor, Department of Library and Information Science, Faculty of Arts and Social Science, University Malaya, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Respected speaker, Dr. Bhaskar Mukherjee, Professor, Department of Library and Information Science, Faculty of Arts, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi, India. Respected speaker, Dr. Novi Hassan, Librarian and Head, Central Library, Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, New Delhi, India. Respected professional colleagues, dear participants, beloved research scholars and students, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon to everybody, and on behalf of the department, I welcome you all to this webinar entitled Resources and Services of Libraries in Post-COVID Era, organized by the Department of Library and Information Science, Vidyasagar University, Midnapur, West Bengal. On behalf of the department, I convey my respect, gratitude, and sincere thanks to all of you for your support and cooperation. Today is the 130th birth anniversary of Padma Shri Dr. S. R. Ranganathan. He is also considered as the father of library science in India. This day is observed as the National Librarians Day in our country. We are glad to organize our webinar on this day. We all experience an unprecedented situation with the global COVID-19 pandemic, I think that we are at the end of this crisis, but it leaves behind a tremendous effect in every sphere of our life. Apart from other sectors, the education sector has also been fragmented a lot due to its effect. During these 2 years, by their intellectuality and irrespective of its abundant limitations, the human beings are able to find out some ways to continue the education system. In the same way, during these 2 years, library professionals are also served their patrons with the help of digital resources as per their capacity, but which is not sufficient and satisfactory to the most of the patrons due to the nature and limitation of the service. So, in this post-COVID period, which types of resources to be collected and organized, and what types of services to be rendered to the clientele by your library professionals is a valuable question. Considering this problem, we have organized this webinar, and I think that this webinar is a little step in this endeavor where the resource persons will pave some way, recommend some suggestions, or should enlighten us with their thoughtful opinions so that our professionals are able to take decisions in their collection of resources or rendering their services in this post-COVID period, or maybe some worse situation in near future. Webinars are the results of the intellectual creativity of man in one hand and gift of nature on the other. We are gradually habituated with this type of webinars. Again, there are some advantages too to organize these webinars as staying at home or in our workplace, we are able to frame a global cooperation and multilateral coordination. Therefore, we are able to have with us in this webinar one abroad resource person, Professor Dr. Kiran Kaur Madam from Malaysia. And out of two compatriot resource persons, one is Professor Dr. Bhaskar Mukherjee sir from Banaras, and another is Dr. Nobi Hassan sir from New Delhi, who stretched out their hands for success of this webinar. It is my proud and privilege to say that Professor Amrit Chatterjee sir is involved not only in different committees of our university, but also in teaching and research activities of our department. And he never disappointed us in any of our requests, even in his 87 years of age. We are fortunate enough. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
In this year, we have already organized one-day international webinar on digital archiving of printed documents in view of Copyright Act issues and challenges in post-COVID era, which was held on 26 February 2022. And today's webinar is the second one to celebrate Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav. We are happy that so far there are about 200 participants, those who have registered their names. Webinar. We have participants from abroad and also from different countries. Thank you, my dear participants, to attend this webinar. Once again, I welcome you all to this webinar, and I would like to convey my thanks and gratitude to our respected dean, respected resource persons, and the audience for their presence in this webinar. Thank you, sirs and madams. Thank you all. So, when proceed. So, when.
Sir. Now, thank you, sir. And now we would like to request our Dean, sir, for his inaugural speech.
Thank you, Soman Babu. Today, the Department of Library and Information Science is going to organize one-day international webinar on resources and services of libraries in post-COVID era for the celebration of Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav and at the same time Librarians Day 2022. In this occasion, I take the opportunity to address, to show my respect to Professor Amitav Chatterjee, the chairman of this webinar, the respected speakers, Dr. Kiran Kaut, Dr. Nobi Hassan, and Dr. Bhaskar Mukherjee. And at the same time, I want to show my respect to the professor of the department, Professor Piyush Kanti Jana, and the other organizers. I am very much thankful to you for giving me the chance to take part in this webinar as an inaugurator in the absence of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir. The theme of this webinar is very much interesting and at the same time challenging. Resources and services of libraries in post-COVID era. This theme clearly indicates that the libraries were rendering their services before COVID-19 and also during the COVID-19 era and after COVID-19 era. So if we want to take a look to the challenge which appears at present to the libraries for rendering their services to the readers after COVID-19, we must have to take a break in the two phases, before COVID-19 and during the COVID-19 phase. So I think the discussions will be very much interesting and researchers will get their resources also from this webinar to take the course or to give the course in discuss the course from different dimensions. The novel coronavirus presented us a unique challenge to the all members of the education system. And we know when the coronavirus broke out in our country, all the institutions were shut down, including the libraries. But the education process was running with the help of a digitization or virtual platform. And in this connection, libraries have played important roles during the period of COVID-19 as they had to face the challenge of digitization and at the same time to offer the services to the demand. I think this webinar will be a fruitful one. With these few words, on behalf of Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, I inaugurate this webinar wishing a great success. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Professor Dey.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind words and inaugurating this international webinar. We are really grateful to you and, of course, to our Vice Chancellor, sir, and our other administrative officials to approve or appeal to organize this type of seminars, which is going to affect our professionals and our students in a greater way. So since we are running out of time, we are not going to introduce all the resource persons together here. I am just going to introduce our today's keynote speaker, and then uh, I will introduce each of the speakers whenever they will deliver their lecture. Today, we are proud to have Dr. Kiran Kaur Madam. She is a professor in Library and Information Science at the University of Malaya at Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. She has also served the post of Director of the Quality Management and Enhancement Center of their university, which is accrediting responsible for accreditation and quality assurance of all levels of academic programs in the University of Malaya. For the last 20 years, her core topic of research work is quality management systems and academic quality assurance. Professor Kiran Ma'am's research publications appear in different journals of national and international repute. She is the co-editor of the Malaysian Journal of Library and Information Science, which is indexed in both Social Science Citation Index and Scopus. She has served as the president of the Malaysian chapter for International Library and Information Science Society and an active member of the consortium of iSchools in Asia Pacific. Professor Kiran Madam is currently serving on the technical committee of various conferences and is a reviewer member of the editorial board of several reputed journals. Madam, we are really thankful to you that you have kindly consented to deliver this keynote address. We are really anxiously awaiting for your thought-provoking lecture. Please, Madam. And before that, I would like to introduce our president of this conference and president of this webinar, Professor Amitabh Chatterjee. Professor Amitabh Chatterjee is a well-known name in the sphere of library and information science education in India. He has taught the subject for over 40 years. Besides guiding research, he retired as professor and head Department of Library and Information Science, Jadavpur University, Kolkata. Earlier, he served the Amrit Patrika, which was a English newspaper. Presently, is not functioning. It was a well-known English newspaper of India. He served there for more than a decade. He also served as a visiting professor and fellow in 9 universities. He is the guest faculty in 7 universities and visiting scientist thrice in the Documentation Research and Training Center, ISI Bangalore. He served as a member of the last Curriculum Development Committee in LIS, set up by the University Grants Commission, the report of which was published in 2001. He served as a member of the Research Council of the erstwhile Indian National Scientific Documentation Center, which was well known as INSDOC, New Delhi, a laboratory of Council of Industrial Scientific and Industrial Research (CSIR). He was a member of the Technical Advisory Committee of Computer and Communication Division of Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, and a member of the Board of Studies and Board of Research in LIS in several universities. He has delivered 3 prestigious lectures, that is Ranganathan Memorial Lecture of Indian Association of Special Libraries and Information Centers, IASLIC, Keshavan Memorial Lecture of National Library, Kolkata, and Dr. PhD Kumar Oration Lecture of Nagpur University, Nagpur. Professor Chatterjee has been honored with Best LIS Teacher Award in the year 2001 by Indian Association of Teachers in Library and Information Science, which is IATLIS, and Best LIS Teacher Award in the year 2011 by IASLIC. He has also been honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award in the year 2013 by IATLIS and Lifetime Achievement Award 2018 by Indian Library Association. Professor Chatterjee has served as a member of the editorial board of ILA Bulletin, Annals of Library and Information Studies, IASLIC Bulletin, and American Journal of Information Science and Technology. He has edited 6 journals, including Indian Library Science Abstracts and Librarian, and is presently editor of IASLIC newsletter. He has also edited 35 conference volumes and has to his credit over 200 papers, over 100 book reviews, and 8 books, including Dictionary of Indian Pseudonyms, Elements of Documentation and Elements of Information Analysis, Consolidation and Repackaging. His latest book, Elements of Information Organization and Dissemination, has been published by world-renowned publisher Elsevier in November 2016. He has also served as a reviewer of several national and international professional journals. He has attended over 200 national and international seminars, conferences, and in different capacities. Professor Chatterjee visited several European countries and schools of information studies of Africa, Ethiopia, and academic assignments in different countries. He has served as Vice President of ILA, ASLIC, and ARTLIS. With these few words, I would welcome Professor Amitabh Chatterjee sir, and I would like to request him to take charge of President of this international webinar.
Thank
Sir,
you.
please.
Thank you. So we can proceed now, and I request Professor Kiran Kaur to deliver her keynote address. Professor Kiran Kaur.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, namaste to everybody. And I would like to wish Happy Librarians Day 2020 to all the participants today. Firstly, let me say thank you to the organizers of this webinar for inviting me to give the keynote address. A very good evening, and it's my pleasure to meet on this platform, a very distinguished LIS authority, Prof. Amitabh Chatterjee. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
And also the inaugurator, Prof. and Nabi Hassan. Nice to meet you again, Dr. Nabi. And a very good evening to all the participants for today's seminar. When I was post-COVID era, so I thought to myself, okay, post-COVID era, what should I talk about? You know, when it is post-COVID, if we look at the literature, everybody is talking about recovery, because post-COVID, COVID was a pandemic, and when you come out of a pandemic, you are looking at how to recover. But for libraries, are we looking at recovery, or has this COVID era given an opportunity to transcend? So I'm going to try to give you some food for thought on where libraries should move on after this post-COVID era. Okay? And I will also like to acknowledge, if you see, I have acknowledged one of my PhD scholars, Mr. Muhammad Ismail Abidin. Yeah, I roped him in to get me some data to present at this conference. Now, the post-COVID era, but what was the COVID era itself? And we are talking about post-COVID. Yeah, it was a pandemic, global pandemic, all right? And why it was a pandemic? Because it affected such a large population. Yeah. So till today, we see, this is from WHO yesterday, 11th of August. These are the statistics. It is still there. We are still losing lives to this COVID-19. And The world is trying to recover from it. Okay, but librarians and libraries, what has happened to libraries and librarians during the COVID era, which is still there, all right, but we are trying to subdue it. And what is the way forward that we can move from here? So what were we doing before I go to post? Let's see what were we doing before the COVID era. All right. So libraries mainly, as we know, before the COVID era, it is like business as usual. Okay. Nothing major, no major changes were happening. Universities were moving towards e-learning. I'm not sure at your own individual university how far. Like in University of Malaya, we were moving, but I would say slowly. All right. Libraries, as we know, if you look at the literature, we've always been the ones that will take up technology fastest. Okay? From our catalogs to our OPEX systems to our websites. But what was the pace? Most libraries were comfortable serving their patrons, developing collections, physical collections. Now they had begun to develop electronic resources, providing physical spaces, providing access to these resources. We were looking into loan, subscription, reference service. Some had already started digital reference service, what we call it virtual reference services, user education, much more. And websites of libraries were developing, becoming more and more interactive. There were also libraries who had begun to tap onto social media tools. All right. But what happened to libraries during the pandemic? All right. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, we could see all sorts of announcements. Libraries were being closed. Right. So everywhere libraries are closed. No matter whether it was an academic library or a public library or any other special libraries. And different countries reacted differently to this pandemic. Okay? But majority at one time were closed. There was no physical access for the patrons to come to the library. Okay? But at the same time, libraries realized at the pandemic time, people still needed information. In fact, they needed more. Right? There was a lot of demand for information about COVID itself. And students especially, universities slowly opened again, and students were now learning online. Many universities had gone to the online mode, and they needed their resources, but they could not yet come to the libraries. So we also see that during that period, some libraries were proactive, all right? While the buildings are closed, they are still offering services. And because we are in the service business, so they were still supporting users. Okay, so if we look at this as a national pandemic or a global pandemic, libraries were quick to adapt. Even public libraries. Public libraries were reporting that actually their memberships were increasing. People were applying online to become members of libraries because they needed somewhere to get information, whether it's just for leisure or it was information about COVID. Okay, so this is what libraries were doing, and I would like to share some evidences from the literature. All right, there is a lot of literature about COVID, and librarians also in the LIS. Also, people started to write about what libraries were doing. The conferences that were being held at that time, webinars that will be held. Until today, we are still holding online webinars. We are talking about it. Okay. So I'm just going to share a few examples as a recap of what libraries were doing during the COVID era. Okay. Now, this is some statistics from the American Geoscience Institute. All right. It's a small study that they did. All right, they looked at government libraries and they were asking respondents how the services had changed. Okay, so if we want to move forward, we need to know what happened, what actually changed. And if you look at the blue bars, All right. So the blue bar is indicating decrease. So we have almost 90 to 80% decrease in purchasing of print materials and usage of physical materials. So that happened during the pandemic. And what increased? Yes, acquisition of electronic resources, usage of electronic resources. Yeah. Patron requests for assistance, interlibrary loan. So if we look at these 4 bars here, all right, this is quite common throughout the world. What happened at the libraries? Increase in demand for electronic resources and decrease physical materials. Now, another example is library services provided during the pandemic by premier technological institutions of India. I think you can recognize those institutions. I'm not familiar with this whole line of institutions, but what attracted me here was the type of services that were being provided. Okay, so not all institutions waive penalty on overdue books or renewal of books. That's surprising. That when I read this paper, that surprised me, because most of the literature, this was the first thing that libraries did. If you are holding a library book that you have taken on loan, and when the pandemic happened and universities, schools were being shut down, libraries were being closed, they waived penalties. So you keep the books with you until a certain time that you can return. So there's a window of assistance given there, and research assistance increased. Yes, researchers could not stop. Researchers were still doing their research. They still needed information. So they turned to the library, and librarians were now providing online assistance. Okay, plagiarism checks were being done, research support tools were being developed, and virtual events were being held to support the research. Another example, all right, this is an article that was happening in 2020, okay? And then in 2021, there's another article which looked at opportunities of academics libraries in India because of COVID-19. Okay? Interestingly, this author has looked at 4 different categories of changes that happened. All right, in terms of space. All right, so in India, he found that by looking at the literature, this is a review paper where the author is giving his opinion, looking at other literature. So there was a demand for collaborative space. There's demand for ICT facilities within that space, right? And collection development. As we looked at the chart earlier, all right, there's a decrease in demand for print resources, increased demand for online resources, and there was an increased need for digitization. All right, and that became a challenge to libraries globally and also libraries in India. Okay, as for services, so remote access service, increase in that. Library websites were being changed. People were working from home, but yet library websites were being developed to be more interactive, to have more information for users who are not now physically at the library. A digital resource management had to be put in place. Scanning services, there was a demand for scanning services because people now could not physically borrow that book. All right, assisting online learning. This is especially for academic libraries because learning continued. Yeah, learning continued, and electronic learning or e-learning was happening. Changes are happening in teaching learning, and libraries' role again now had to look into that, how they could help, how they could assist in this online learning, how they could lend digital tools. Some libraries were providing digital tools, PCs or iPads to the students to access materials, yeah? And training for information literacy, which the focus now was on digital literacy. More and more library users needed to be taught or given skills of digital literacy. Okay? And as for the management of the library itself, yeah? So it's not just at the user end. At the library management, safety measures, this became a challenge. How do you keep your library safe? How do you ensure the library is a safe place for people to come in and be free of that virus. Okay, and staffing issues, we have to look into that, because when we talk about services, resources, it is for the user. But to provide this to the user, we need to look back at our staff. All right, we have to first begin with that. Do we have staff who are trained? Do we have educated staff? How do we look into staff who are working from home and yet they need to be productive? How do you address issues of staff rotation? I'm sure at one point you had a situation where some of them were to come to work and some work from home. All right, training to be provided, because when you are going into digitalization, when you are going to provide online services, then your staff need to have the training on how to use these various tools. Okay, and staff needed to now know about OER, open educational resources, because at that time the lecturers, the students cannot come to the library to access the physical resources, but there were many resources already available online. So that was a challenge, how to get those resources to the students. All right, open access to research, and doing all these within the budget constraint. So this is an interesting paper which addresses a lot of the issues of how libraries coped during the COVID, and currently what are the opportunities that these changes brought forward to the libraries so that they can move forward. Now, another example, this is more recent, 2021, systematic review of library service provision. Okay, so when we look at this study, the findings of this study report that libraries were now assisting in virtual education. So there was more and more interaction between the librarian and the lecturers or the faculty members. And faculty members were relying on librarians to help them in education. Okay, libraries were providing increasing open access resources and services, expanding access to electronic resources. If we look at the literature, thankfully, during the pandemic, a lot of vendors became more lenient. Yeah, the vendors were libraries could renegotiate with vendors on the subscription terms, and expanded access was being given to the library users. Yeah, they were supporting research, they were engaging in virtual references, and also libraries were now looking into public health safety. They were providing resources for health literacy. Health literacy became important, and librarians were actually giving health literacy to their clientele. But this article also cautions two things: budgetary challenge, and also need for new ICT infrastructure and internet service. Yeah. So when we look into moving forward, we look into providing service, open access, or expanding electronic resources or virtual services, we need the infrastructure. And to have that infrastructure, you need the budget. So that is the biggest challenge that libraries will be facing, yeah, in the recovery phase. This is an example of a university in Malaysia, University Technology Mara, who came up with a mobile app for their library. Some of the services that they rendered on their mobile app, right, during the pandemic. And they've decided that this app became so popular that they are continuing it even post-pandemic. Okay. Here I would just like to share with you some of the evidences from Malaysian university libraries. Yeah? My student and I, we did a quick check on some of the university libraries, what they had done during the pandemic. And we asked them, are you going to continue with this service? And if yes, is it going to be same as what you were doing, or you want to enhance it? So one of it was book delivery. So during the pandemic, textbooks especially or important research books which they did not have an electronic version were being posted. They had postal service to whoever requested it, right? And what they found was, even after post-pandemic, they've decided to continue this service in two of the universities. Yeah? They said because, in fact, now they are doing home delivery. So the spirit here was, when the user got this service, sitting at home in the comfort of your home, you get the library to deliver the book. All right. So the library decided, if you're happy with that, as long as you're using our resources, all right, and we will facilitate you. So they are continuing it, but of course in a limited distance, not too far away from the university. And online training, user education, information literacy classes. This happened with academic libraries. A lot of them started doing the information literacy classes online. And they found that the response was so good that even PhD students started asking for such services, right? So they use the same platform, and they introduce online PhD clinics, online research support. So they're expanding that training. And now that the libraries are open, yes, they have physical classes, but they still cater for those who prefer it to be online. So they're doing a hybrid mode. Okay, library orientation. This is another thing that they have reported, that doing it online during the pandemic, they wish to continue. So, because they found that this was added value. If you do an orientation physical, usually it's done during the first year the students come in, you have a library visit and a library orientation. Okay, throughout the students' years in the library, year 1, year 2, year 3, the student will not get another orientation. But now they have enhanced it by putting up their orientation on a YouTube channel. So it's open to students at any time. So any student who has an issue or would like to know something about the library can view it at any time. So they're continuing it there. All right. And the other thing they had was live at PITA. This was discussion with experts. The library initiated it so that students who are home still have access to expert opinion. They developed a series of webinars where the expert will come to the library online, and talk about issues regarding that subject area. And it was so popular at this library that they have decided to continue. And they have increased the number of experts that are involved in this initiative. Yeah? Community outreach. This was done, a health project, because during the pandemic, that was necessary. So the library did it. But post-pandemic, they are looking at it that because it was successful, let's now move on to cultural projects. So something which was initiated during the pandemic is being continued but enhanced into different areas. Yeah, extending book loans? No. Most of the libraries that we asked, they did not do this anymore. Physical books, if you're going to borrow, now go back to the original criteria of how long you can borrow your book. Yeah? Online access to thesis and dissertation, yes. There were libraries which had not given this access before the pandemic. There were a batch of librarians who felt that things like thesis or dissertation, student must come to the library and you can only access the thesis full text within the confinement of a library room, where the librarian will look at what you are doing. You're not allowed to plagiarize, copy anything. And when they did access online, only the abstracts were provided. But this mindset changed because during the pandemic, students could not come to the library at all. Yeah? So for academia, you need to access, especially research students. So these libraries begin to provide full text. And by doing that, they realize there is no harm in it. You just need to educate your students on plagiarism. Okay? So they are continuing, they are enhancing it. Yeah? And online resources, yes, they want to continue, but yes, online resources are expensive. Subscription to journals, yeah, subscription to ebooks can be very expensive, so that will depend on their budget. So why I'm saying all this is what we need to know is during the pandemic, if all this was being done, right? What did we gain from it? Right? And how far do we want to continue to do this after the pandemic? A lot of people are talking about the new world. But what do libraries do? Libraries begin a lot of new services, a lot of ad hoc services immediately. All right? Do you retain? Do you continue with the changed collection development policies? For 2 years, you might have reduced your budget for print materials, increase your budget for e-resources. Do you continue with that? And can you afford to continue your digital transformation? Okay. So I would suggest first, when you plan for this, you need a disaster management plan. When I speak to the libraries in Malaysia, all right, we spoke to most of the academic libraries, public libraries. Most of them did not ever have a disaster management plan. When you study LIS, when you do your degree or your master's, when you look at library management, this topic comes up. We look at the literature, there is literature on disaster management. Yeah? So I would consider, personally, I consider the COVID-19 pandemic as a disaster. It was a health disaster because your library closed. Anything which is going to disrupt you is a disaster. But libraries, most of them did not have this disaster management plan. There was no preparation. We were not prepared for that COVID-19 pandemic. What libraries did was immediately response. There was response. Yeah? Ad hoc actions were taken, immediate response. Good response, I would say. If we look at what is being reported in the literature, libraries were fast to respond and libraries continued their service. Okay? But in this disaster management plan, we see a phase which is recovery. Right? So that's why in my title, I'm thinking, when there's a disaster, usually there's a lot of disruption. A lot of things get destroyed. And you have to rebuild. And you have a recovery. Like right now, our economy is trying to recover from the pandemic. But for libraries, is it recovery? Or has it given us opportunities? Has it pushed libraries to a platform where you just go forward? All right? But to go forward, what you need now is capacity building, reconstruction and capacity building. You need to quickly look at the skills and competency of your staff. Provide them with the skill and competency to continue forward. Don't go back. Don't go back to your previous practices. All right? If it happens again, what are you going to do? That has to be part of your plan. Right? So a disaster management plan should be present at all libraries from now on. Because all of us have gone through this pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. Nobody was there. Because earlier, maybe libraries in countries where it's prone to, maybe prone to earthquake, yes, you might think, okay, that's a disaster. In Malaysia last year, we had floods, quite bad, right? Libraries were closed, collections were destroyed because of the flooding. Again, there's no disaster management plan, right? So be ready. That's the first lesson that we have learned from this pandemic. Okay? Secondly, analyze the new adapted or ad hoc services. Okay, this is an example of a survey done by a library. During the pandemic, I use online library resources more than before. So you see, yes, all of them. Right? Mean value is quite high. Library provide a place for me to continue with my study during opening hours. Library online instruction and inquiry service enable me to be more efficient. Okay. these are the questions they ask. You could ask something else, all right? What I'm trying to say here is, when you did something different during the pandemic, now ask your users, do you still need this service? Ask them, because they were at the receiving end, all right? And when you ask them, conduct service-specific surveying. I personally sometimes receive from my library at the end of the year a customer satisfaction survey, and I look at the questions in that survey. They are very generic. Overall opening hours, overall collection, overall staff attitude. What we need is to make a change, is specific service. For example, you decide that during the pandemic, say in your library, earlier you never had online access to thesis collection. During the pandemic, you could have digitized, or you already had the electronic version. You provided this access. So now when you conduct a survey, you choose only that service and you ask your users whether they still need it. What about the service that they feel is good? What they need to improve? Only then you make managerial decisions on post-COVID, what can be done. Look at your usage data. Yeah? Your log data, look at it, look at the use of online resources. But again, I will caution, balance your user preference to administrative reality. Yeah? Because if you only depend on user, they want everything. Okay, so you need a balance. Ask them what is still necessary, what did the library do good, all right, what you should continue to do, but balance it with what you can afford to do. Thirdly, review your budget, review your collection development policy. Start off with this, because you had increased your digital resource acquisition, you had decreased your print collection acquisition. So post-pandemic, do you continue with this? All right, can you revert users to print once you have shown it possible? Because users are like this. Once you give them something which is easier to use, which is facilitating, they don't want you to go back. So they will continue to demand these online resources. So make new policies. And if your university, keep in touch with your university's policies on e-learning. All right. If your university is now asking your students, for example, my university for 2 years, our students were studying online. All right. So the coming semester, they're all going to come back. So when they come back, all right, what is the policy on teaching and learning? Are you still going to have blended learning? Are you still going to have some of your classes which will be held online? Is there still a demand for electronic textbooks? In libraries, we develop institutional repositories. Okay, before the pandemic already, we are collecting research papers, we are collecting conference papers, publication, research outputs of our lecturers to be put into institutional repositories. Now, during the pandemic, with e-learning, our lecturers have developed a lot of course content, electronic course content. So most of them, where is this content? If the university has a learning management system, it's sitting there. Or it is in their Microsoft Teams, if that's what the lecturer used. And after a while, it's going to be lost. So does the library want to collect this? Do you want to have a repository of course content? Do you want to offer to your lecturers, to your students, open educational resources, which many people are contributing to it, and you can use them? The library can be the one in the university to initiate them. Okay. So look back at these development policies, suit it to what your university is heading. Where is your university heading in education? User services, yes. Right? We are all about service. We must think of our users as our customers, and you must focus on the experience of that customer. So to do that, more and more customers want things online. So you have to strengthen your ICT infrastructure, develop librarians' digital literacy skills, right? I emphasize a lot on that. You know, reach out to faculty and students. Remote access. You know, when you want to provide remote access, the library, the IT department, the vendors, all three have to work together. What is the best solution, all right, to come up with a model for remote access to resources? Information literacy instructions. What is the way forward? You still want to continue with virtual classes. You still want to continue with recorded sessions. You want to use YouTube. To do that, it goes back to developing your librarian skills for them to be able to do this, right? Increased use of virtual reference service, social media tools. There are libraries which are turning to AI to give reference service, right? But in all of these tools, the back end is still the librarian. So the digital skill of the librarian must be increased, okay? And expand access to free resources and scan and delivery. And last one, when we talk about user services, this is something I advocate, which I find it difficult to find literature on this and practices on this, you know, supporting student mental health and well-being. Okay, because in libraries we provide services, we think of collections, we think of information resources, right? And we give a space in the library, yes. But what has happened with the COVID-19 pandemic, if you look at literature in education, when these students were facing the pandemic, and now that they have come back even to their institutions of learning, there are mental health issues, well-being issues. For being in the lockdown or all the whatever they faced, where can libraries play a role in this? Should libraries play a role in this? Because in library, we have community service. When we talk about user service, we talk about community outreach. Yeah? You go out to community and you do projects with them. So now there's a lot of talk on students or users or society's mental health. Where can libraries tap to this? Think about that. No? Fifthly, I would say library space. You want to move forward? How do you move forward in library space? Okay. How do you? Sorry. Please let me know if it is my time is running out. How do you make it the place to be? Whether you're an academic library or a public library, the minute you have a building, you want people to come. You want your students, your users to make library as the place that they would come to. Students need a study place or a collaborative active place or a socializing space. These are space for library. Okay, they need to stay safe, feel that they are safe there. You need to make sure that positive emotions. Yeah, we have library anxiety in the literature. A lot of researchers are looking into library anxiety. We want to take that away. Why do you want students to have anxiety or your users to have anxiety when they come to library? They shouldn't. Library should be a place with a lot of positive emotions, casual sitting, allow food and drinks at designated places, not everywhere. All right. And if you look at this picture here, all right, these are what now current modern libraries are looking like. And these are bean bags. Can you see this? This is from University of Malaya. The librarian, the chief librarian, has a specific floor, a collaborative learning space, and bean bags were put there. Because why? We saw that in a library, you will see this scene very often. Students just put their head down on the table and they take a nap. They are tired. In an academic library, they might come in at early morning and leave late till the library closed, especially exam time. All right. So what she did was she said, let's make it comfortable for them. Have a space that they can just go there, maybe take a 10-minute, 20-minute nap, get up and go back to the desk to do whatever work that they are doing. Okay. So these are changes we need to bring forward to make your user comfortable, to use this library space again. Because when the pandemic happened, during COVID, people were in their homes, life was going on. And they might think, we don't need the library anymore. And when you are providing all your resources online, your services online, so why do they come to the library? So that space has to change. Right? So lastly, again, I would like to say, post-COVID, is it library recovery or opportunity to transcend? Right? I would say it is for libraries. We will use post-COVID as an opportunity to transcend. Because what happened during COVID, during the era of COVID, pushed us towards being more creative, more innovative, changing services, and being more somehow, when you look at all that, you will see that we were being more sensitive to user needs. So take that opportunity and transcend into that, focusing on user needs, but balance it with your administrative realities, because we have to work within the confinement of our budget, within the confinement of our ICT infrastructure. So with that, I end my keynote address. And
Thank you, Dr. Kaur.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for a very illustrative and illuminating lecture, showing mainly academic libraries, how they are functioning earlier and how they function during the pandemic, and what is your idea of how they can transcend, rather, not recovery, but transcend. Thank you very much. Okay, let us proceed now again. So I request Dr. Bhaskar Mukherjee, the next speaker, to deliver his address.
Sir, I think presently Nobi Hassan sir will present.
Nabi Hassan, sir. Okay, then.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Nabi Hassan.
And before that, I would like to introduce Dr. Nobi Hassan sir.
Yeah.
He is the head librarian of the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, and he is serving the profession for the last 27 years in different institutes of excellence. The Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India, have recognized Dr. Hassan as the coordinator of annual refresher program in teaching 2019, which is ARPIT, an online MOOCs in library and information science on emerging trends and technologies in library and information services. Dr. Nobi Hassan sir has served the Aligarh Muslim University as university librarian. He is the first Norman E. Borlaug Fellow from India in library and information systems. Dr. Hassan has been honored with the Fellow of the SLA in 2020-22, means this year, award in USA. We congratulate you, sir, for the award.
Yes, congratulations.
He is the winner of SLA Engineering Librarian of the Year Award 2021. And he also won the Bonnie Hidalgo International Librarian Award in the year 2018. SLP SLA Asian Fellow Award 2019 also goes to him. And he has also won the Presidential Citation 2021 from SLA USA. He has been conferred with the Royal Society of Chemistry's Librarian's Choice Award in the year 2019. Dr. Hassan is the recipient of the Vice Chancellor Appreciation Award 2003 for exemplary work and conduct at the HP Agricultural, HP means Himachal Pradesh Agricultural University, Palampur. Appreciation from the Chairman Board of Governors, IIT Delhi in the 2012. He also received appreciations from the Vice Chancellor of the Aligarh Muslim University in the year 2018. He won the Lifetime Achievement Award 2015. He got appreciation certificate from IEEE twice and many other such recognitions from reputed organizations. We wish many more such recognitions in future also, sir. We wish you all the very best for your future endeavors, and we also expect your support in future also. In April 2019, he has received the appreciation from the director IIT Delhi, as well as he has served as the president of Asian chapter and president of academic and education community of the SLA USA. Dr. Hassan sir has 16 books and over 162 articles to his credit. Currently, he is also heading the National Resource Center in Library and Information Sciences of the Ministry of Education, Government of India, under its Orbit MOOCs program. Thank you, sir.
So,
Thank you very much, Dr. Soman. In fact, somehow I was not having like good health. I was unwell, but since it was a commitment, I don't know how, but I'm still running 101 fever. But commitment is commitment. So I may not be able to deliver the way I used to, but I will. Since the presentation was already prepared yesterday, so I will try to do justice with my presentation. So in fact, Professor Kiran has already like covered many of the things. So I would like to cover mainly stories from India. So libraries and library professionals in the new normal, a case study of India. So I think I have 30 minutes up to 4:10. So I will try to cover in that. And thank you very much, Dr. Soman, for giving me this opportunity. And such a senior people are here, Professor Amitabh. I mean, very difficult to deliver in front of these guys because these are like pillars of our profession. And yeah, so I think let me check. I think I am able to change my screen. Are you able to?
Yes.
Okay. So friends, this is a statement from past ALA president Julius C. Jefferson Jr. that the libraries kept Americans connected in ways that brought our communities closer. Buildings may not have been open, but libraries were never closed. What does this statement say? This statement says that the librarians and the libraries have been doing really great job during the pandemic. And in one of the talk, Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe, who is the chief of AICT, in a program of LIS Academy, he declared the librarians as the Corona warrior. So I think the buildings might have been closed, but the libraries and the services were never closed. And the libraries and librarians continued to provide services in the pandemic era as well. So as you can see that everyone is or was affected because of the COVID challenges. Initially, we heard about the COVID long back, maybe a century ago, but that was just in our search, whether we were searching on Google or maybe Wikipedia. But this COVID has affected everyone, and it is still continuing. So every walk of life, profession, economy, agriculture, markets, government institution, people, restaurant industry, hotel industry, academia, personal relations, museums, library, everyone is affected. But many of the above are physical labor intensive industries, but the library profession is IT supported. So there was a hope. And it is believed that 80% of the librarianship is now technology component. So there was a hope and there is still a hope. So when there was a lockdown and what was the response of the libraries in India? So the libraries and librarians found it challenging to handle different situations of COVID-19 and adopted one of the following approaches during that time, like Some of them were doing business more or less as usual or as per the new or next normal. Some of the libraries were observing some restrictions. There were libraries which were fully closed, and some of the libraries were preparing for reopening, and some of the libraries were reopened. So you will be surprised to know that during pandemic, IT Delhi library was closed for just 1 month physically, and that was from perhaps 25th March to first week of April in 2020. So we continued to provide services to the people because the students were in the campus, and in fact we devised different ways of providing services, especially remote access, and we fully migrated everything on Badal Cloud, which is a Ministry of Education's cloud, so that even if there is no cooling or we need the buildings is closed, services were not affected. So what was the effect on teaching and learning? So the effect was like everything started in online form. Even my son, who is in now class 11, so they attended for 2 years. They attended classes in online form, but of course there were, problems as well, uh, vision problem or like state of mental health. All those things were there while you are using the online learning and teaching, but there was no other way. So the collection development during the COVID in India was badly suffered because in an institution like IT Delhi, there are hardly books which are purchased locally. Most of our collections are imported outside of India. So the collection was badly affected because the vendors were not able to supply the books required by the faculty members, because although there was no physical teaching, but people were requiring the physical books as well, because not everything is available in online form. So we provided books to the faculty, to the students who were in the campus, and then I think there was a lot of use of RFID system during the period for self checkout or self check-in or like book drop. So when the libraries were opened or reopened, you can see that this type of new normal was seen. Like there was marking, not all the seats were occupied by the readers, and people were using the masks, and it was very difficult to uh, quarantine the book, because the same books could be required by another person. So we were leaving the books for almost 3 days unattended while the books were returned in the drop box. So there was all these type of issues. But we in India tried to devise different mechanism to provide services to the users despite all the odds, using standard operating procedures or protocol. So we tried to provide all type of services. Like we means the people in India, the libraries in India. So if you see this screen basically talks about like to promote and strengthen the library system and our position. We have taken several initiatives, especially during this pandemic. Like we completely transformed our website and made the website more interactive using Drupal, and we hosted all the content of our faculty development course RP on our library website, because there are people who have not joined our courses. Although this course is free, still they can access the videos and the PPTs. So we provided in fact we have almost 44 video lectures uploaded and PPTs as well. So in Indian environment, if somebody is able to go through all those lectures as part of RP, I think they can answer 90% of the question in the interview boards or in the written test. Then we migrated from a commercial software to open source Koha, and we integrated our RFID system as well, which was a challenge. We developed, in fact, the library app was already there, but we came with a better app, and we strengthened our faculty profiling system using IRNS. IRNS is just like a customized focus, which is provided from all the content of and our as the library interface, then interlibrary loan or resource sharing facilities were strengthened, and our shifted to in-person events, and we provided really very good ambience and environment to our people so that they can use the library services in the best possible way, and we positioned our colleagues as players in teaching, research and extension. So overall I think we took advantage of this pandemic because there was not much pressure for the work. So we created all the innovative things, and we provided best of the library services. So I think this is the website of my Central Library IT Delhi, and you can see we have a general search interface which is by default. Just a second, yeah. This is by default from Drupal. So if you are using a software like Drupal for creating the website, so if you are searching something which is not available in front, like you are searching Nabi Hassan, so it will help you to find the presence of that particular bird even behind the scene. And we strengthened our discovery services. Earlier we were using one commercial services. Now we are using the another commercial service, and we strengthened our ERM using open source Coral. Then our interactive web OPEC became very popular, with the help of the institute credential login with ITD, Kerberos ID and password. Anybody can see the details about the transactions, and it is very popular, easy to use. And we provided link to all the resources, full text resources and other videos, etc., from different areas, like from our website, from our institutional repository, from our this Arpit course, etc. Then our remote access to e-resources became very popular. We are using InFed for providing access to users for our resources. So when the request is coming through InFed, then the resource provider is able to identify. Please, if there are any issues with my audio, video, or PPT, please let me know, because I'm not seeing the Google interface. I am seeing my PPT only. So
It's
please
okay.
let me
It's
know.
okay. You carry on.
Pardon?
It's okay. We're able to visit
Great. Thank you, sir. Thank
everything.
you. So, like, our remote access became very popular. So people started saying, like, yeah, everything is accessible by sitting at our home. What is the need of library? But they do not understand that who are the people who are making them everything available from home or from the comfort zone. It is the library team which worked very hard to integrate all the resources. And our virtual library tour as how to use different library services became very popular. We created a virtual library tour, and it has been viewed by more than 10,000 people. And then when it was not possible to depict the newly added books in physical form, we innovated ways to showcase the newly added books using virtual medium, as you can see from my screen. And when it was not possible to have physical book exhibition, we explored virtual book exhibition, which was a very new like experience in India. And when the things were okay, we also hosted physical book exhibitions as well. Then whatever was possible, we tried to upload all those things on the website, and we provided links like library handbook, which has information about all the resources. Then students may be interested in downloading the question paper. So because although the classes were not in person, but everything was going on as usual, like instead of physical thing, it was happening online. So we provided links to like question papers as well to the students. One of the great thing we did was like we strengthened our faculty or institute profiling system. So it is just like a customized Scopus. My Indian friend understand what is this, but I think the good thing about this system is it is basically a RIM, Research Information Management System. Here you can even see the H index, which is not possible to see using Scopus. If you want to see the H index of a particular department like electrical engineering, you need to do a lot of manual work. But in case of this system, if you are updating all the data of your faculty members, you can readily see H index of a department, or all the different IDs may be integrated, like your ORCID ID, Scopus ID, Researcher ID, Google Scholar ID, and it looks beautiful. And it automatically updates your data if your IDs are correct. Then, as far as the research support services and outreach programs are concerned, I have created a section in the library, and I kept the name of that section Research Support Services and Outreach Programs. Okay, and that is really very useful section, which is doing research impact and metrics studies, which is providing help in reference management or research data management, or providing help for document delivery in physical form or also in electronic form. Then we are providing help for writing tools like plagiarism support or similarity support, or we are organizing different scholarly workshops like author workshops, publishing workshops, writing workshops, book publishing workshops, which are very popular. And we are putting everything on our website under Know Your Resources or user-centric tutorials. We are preparing, and we are giving link to those tutorials. So excess use of anything may be wrong, but if you are making judicious use of social networking, I think that is wonderful. So we try to make judicious use of social networking, and with the help of social networking, we have a like LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or all YouTube channel of library, and with the help of all those channels, we try to reach to everyone, and people took advantage of all these services. And we used all the institute publication for circulation of information. Like we used institute newsletter, we used alumni affairs international programs newsletter, our internal website, then libraries e-news clipping services, and also the Hindi thing, for the people who are really not able to properly understand English. So our self-service RFID system became very popular for self-check-in, self-checkout, book drop, etc. during the pandemic. And user-centric tutorials were provided, and those were uploaded as well as a file or as a video. Here you can see. So if people are not able to attend those tutorials, they can still download or access our resources. Then the MOOC course that the Central Library IT Delhi is running, I'm the coordinator for whole of the India. So since everyone is not joining the course, so we have given links to all the videos or all the PDFs of this course. The lectures have been delivered by eminent subject expert, and I think I can guarantee, I'm attending so many selection committees every week almost. If you are able to go through all these my 44 videos or PPTs, I think 90% of the question you can answer in the selection committees. So then our video library services also became popular, because if the people are not able to listen to the reputed professors, the videos are available, they can use those video files. And this is news clipping services, which covers basically the IT Delhi related things, and it is prepared on the basis of RSS feed. So this is one of the popular things that we have been doing from 2010, and it is all free of cost. It requires some time, but of course we are not paying anything to anyone. This is our online book recommendation system. You need to fill few mandatory field like department or ISBN number, author name, that's it, or title or type of book. So that is the only thing. Some of the fields are automatically taken. So if people are not comfortable in recommending a book through manual system, they can still recommend the book using this ERP system, and also they can recommend a book through Koha. So the good thing about like pandemic was, like, we migrated everything on cloud. Badal is the name of the cloud by the Ministry of Education, Government of India. So we migrated everything on Badal cloud. That include our integrated library management system Koha, our DSpace based institutional repository, the server of our standards, our website, everything we have migrated to Badal cloud. And the good thing is that we need not to worry about backup or cooling or anything. So services are running perfectly all right. Then with the help of some of the smart library services like our library apps and Ask the Library interface, etc., we really provide best of the library services to the our users. And not only we were doing, but at national level, India has been doing great work during pandemic. You can see National Digital Library of India, or National Library of India in Kolkata, or Delhi Public Library, or Rajaram Mohan Roy Library Foundation, or National Virtual Library of India. They have been delivering a wonderful program for making the people relax and comfortable with their services, with their online program. And one of the great thing, perhaps the first tram library originated from India, Kolkata, during this pandemic. I'm not sure there is any other tram library, but this is one of the first from Kolkata. And another important thing is that the West Bengal government also came up with boat library with the help of some reputed publisher. So I think these are some of the wonderful things which happened during COVID. And some of the innovative librarians provided great services. Like this lady is Dr. Harpreet Kaur from IIT Ropar, and she started a library with the name Open Air Free Library. So she started this library in the park of her residential complex, and these services were very popular. And in India, different public library services during COVID were provided by different people in an innovative way. You can see the person providing library services using his motorcycle, modified motorcycle. This lady, walking librarian, she used to provide services, books daily. She used to travel 5 to 6 kilometers by foot. Here you can see the person is providing library services using cycle. Here you can see the tempo. Here the children from government school are benefited. Here you can see a lady helping in library services from Northeast, and this barber has created a library in his like shop, and anyone who is completing some component of the book is given advantage. And BBC also covered this thing greatly. And this is the lady, basically a school teacher, who provided great library services to the people. And you will be surprised to know that this lady got the attention of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi. So, Prime Minister of India mentioned her name in his Man Ki Baat for her great services. So not only people have been providing books and other services, but they have been helping socially as well, like librarians providing ration to the people. Then here, the librarians have created Help LIS. So the people who have died, the librarian people who have died during COVID, they have been provided some money. And here, the mask making and other things have also been done by the librarians. So library basically played a key role in mapping and maximizing the impact of research output, and we tried to help the people to create profile using different these platforms like your own website, ResearchGate, ORCID, Vidwan, Academia, Google Scholar, IAN, many other sites. So if you are able to create your profile on these different sites, of course your visibility and impact of research output would increase, and of course your ranking and your accreditation will also improve. So you might be doing some great work, but if you are not marketing it properly, not showcasing what good work you are doing, so you need to market what good work you are doing. If you are marketing properly what good work you are doing, I think you can get better support from your authority and also get better funding. So now there is a change in demand from patrons, or there is opportunities in general. Users are now able to access the library's resources from the comfort of their places. Users are asking all the contents in machine readable form, including scanned images. Users are expecting all the queries answered online. There is an improvement in ICT infrastructure and knowledge base, investment in online education, helping people to gain the knowledge of different apps. And there is a acknowledgement and recognition as well for your work, because the online things are measurable. So with this, I would like to sum up that COVID-19 helped libraries to think about future and discover various innovative ways of providing services. Digital technologies have enabled the libraries to enhance and strengthen their resources and services. The exciting stories on the functioning and contribution of the library in new normal from India depicts an unusual contribution of the library committee as an individual and as an organization. These include playing a vital role in making our life relax. And the pandemic has made our life difficult, but has also given the world an opportunity to improve on other aspects of life. Like we have more family time, we are able to communicate, or we are able to concentrate on some of the works which we are not doing. So unitedly, libraries built a better new normal or next normal. So I've taken the content from different sites, or different images have used. I would like to acknowledge all those content providers. And with this, I would like to conclude that new normal protocol avoid touching men and instead follow women, means avoid touching mouth, eyes, nose. Instead follow women means wash your hands, obey social distancing, mask up, exercise and eat well, no unnecessary traveling. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Hassan. In spite of your bad health, you have tried to show how Indian libraries have responded to lockdown and this pandemic. Especially, you gave example of IIT, what you have done, appreciable work you have done. Thank you very much for this illuminating picture.
Sir.
Next, please.
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah.
We have encouraged our participants to ask if they have any question to Dr. Novi Hassan, sir.
So you have
check the chat box, sir.
Chat box.
Please check the chat box, sir. I asked them to write in the chat box only.
If there are any queries, you may kindly reply.
I think there is no question in the chat box. Even if there is any question, you can unmute yourself and you can ask right now as well. Otherwise, if there are no questions, please allow me to leave.
Yes,
I
take
need
rest.
some rest, please.
You take rest.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Dr. Malik, next, please. Please introduce the
Sir, I would take this privilege to introduce Dr. Bhaskar Mukherjee.
Yeah.
He is the professor of Department of Library and Information Science of Banaras Hindu University, Uttar Pradesh, India. Earlier, he taught in Guru Ghasidas Vishwavidyalaya, Bilaspur, and also in Rani Durgavati University. He also worked at the National Hydraulic Power Corporation, and I have seen his workplace was in the beautiful Kashmir, and I hope sir has enjoyed a lot there. Professor Mukherjee, whatever I have seen his curriculum vitae in the internet, he is completely an academic person. He developed so many contents, and a few remarkable contents out of those is he has created contents for the website which has been designed for Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya. It is a joint venture of the Banaras Hindu University and Ministry of Culture, Government of India. He also developed course content on information retrieval for SARC Documentation Center, Delhi. He created course content for IGNOU, Indira Gandhi National Open University. He also presented lecture on IGNOU's Gyan Vani, which is an education broadcasting FM channel. His topic of research interest includes webometrics, information technology application in the libraries, digital library, information retrieval, knowledge organization, and we welcome you, sir. Please, sir.
Yes, Dr. Mukherjee.
Thank you. Am I audible, sir? Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
sir. Yes, sir.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. My screen is visible to all of you.
yeah.
Okay. Very good afternoon to all.
Yes, yes.
I would first like to extend my gratitude to my guru, Professor Amitabh Chatterjee, sir, who is basically not a teacher of library science, but if you ask me frankly, I learned documentation in my course content when I was in MLib by reading the book of Professor Amitabh Chatterjee. He's really not only a scholar, but he's a excellent academician by heart and by behavior.
Thank you.
I would also like to extend my gratitude to keynote speaker Dr. Kiran Kaur from University of Malaya for his excellent speech and deliberation on this webinar. I would also like to thank Dr. Nabi Hassan, IIT Delhi, for providing an excellent discussions regarding the services that India is providing to the world community. Along with all this, I would like to extend thanks because for giving me the opportunity, the authorities over the Vidyasagar University, particularly Professor Piyush Kanti Jana, Dr. Shoman Malik, Professor Durgashankar Rath, Dr. Vidyathi Datta, who are the part of this department. So many speakers have already talked about so many things. As you all know, I am working presently as a teacher of university, which is known for a capital of knowledge. Particularly, I observed that if I talk about the content of the theme of the conference, that is resources and services of libraries in post-COVID era, probably I am not the correct person because I particularly educator and also a researcher, learning so many things. As Dr. Nabi Hashans and other working librarians are doing excellent in the job of libraries, they are making the changes to the libraries for making it more useful. So I am not a very suitable person from the perspectives of libraries. Rather, I am a very suitable person to talk about a user of a library. Being a user, what my expectation is and what I have learned or seen in the post-COVID era or during the COVID era, that I am trying to explain an expectation as a form of expectation from the library community. First of all, let me introduce with some quotes by some fellow persons. You probably note here, I have made the quote and unquote, but I have not mentioned the name who quote it. Yes, it has some reason. The reason is that when we are talking about so much on digital and digital, at a stress, at a point of time, it always thinks to me whether really we are wasting our time for building a libraries, a place in where it is surrounded by some walls, by tables, by chairs, by fans, and certainly by some books. Or you can better to say documents. Still, I was searching some of the quotes. Really, frankly speaking, I was searching some of the quotes, which is still relevant to say whether there is still relevance of books into the world of academic communication or not. Then I found we are not looking at them, not just because what is in them, but because of the inspiration that they are bringing. They create an environment that breeds science and scholarship. Student wants to smell it, they want to feel it, they want to be a place where it feels like a surrounded by knowledge. I have marked 3 lines which touch to my heart, and that 3 lines are breed science and scholarship, and second, surrounded by knowledge. Second, it is also a opinion by some person. People often believe that everything is electronic now and not now. And it probably won't be for quite a while. Some books do not translate well into electronic format. For example, the way read you verse, the way you scroll it, very different. Today we are talking about digital, today we are talking about mobile technology, today we are talking about everything should be on your laptop. But the question is whether this device is still compatible to reach our brain, whether really this technologies touch to the surroundings of knowledge, whether by these technologies we really can breed the science of scholarship, and more importantly, if we read the verse of an author by scrolling it into the screen or by flipping it one by one, does it really feels when at the end of the day, when it reaches to our bed and try to hold a book before our sleep, does this technological gadgets really help us? I think still it's not so. Now I am telling who are the speaker of this. These are not so many good philosophers. They are not the very excellent, you can say, library professionals people or very known people. They are the users of Library of Congress. I have taken this quote and unquoting words from the users of Library of Congress. It gives me a thing to idea that if a developing world and people of the developing world or the user of a developing world, developed world, thinks or the persons thinks a library like this, then how much digitization and how much digital is still relevant or is being needed for us. I just search for a picture how a teacher looks like, because as you know, I am a teacher. how a teacher looks like with a book or a laptop. I don't know how it feels to you, how it reaches to you, but still for me, a teacher holding a book with in his hands seems to be more precious for me. Yes, altogether, I never say laptop is not so important, but still it appeals to me. That's why I was gone through what actually it means to in terms of neuroscience. Neuroscience actually says that reading brains in digital age, the science of paper versus screen. I am not talking like this. It is the people from medical science. They actually says that it is a huge stress is needed to read a thing in digital form rather than to a book form. That's why their stress suggested that reading of paper is still boost unique advantages. So if we talk about only of digital content and digital library and digital, whether it is post-COVID era or pre-COVID era or anything, how much it is really useful to us. As a teacher, when I took class, when we used to take class to my students on online environment, as people used to switch up their screens, I am unable to see the facial expression or what actually in English says body language. Being a teacher, it is very, very painful without looking the body language to explain something. Now, at the outset, because of this pandemic, we have no other option to continue the education by some digital means. But at the end of the day, how much it is digital means was painful, and really how much it was affected to the education. There are so many words, and in internet age, in social networking sites, so many words are here and there who are gathered in education by online media. It is not their problem. It is not, they have not done any sin, but actually the system of education that we have developing by this online system, still we are lacking. Why? Because if we see in Indian context, what actually our basic conclusions are, still we are heavy dependency on mobile technology. Since some days back, only the 60% people have mobile, probably now it reaches to 90%. But at the end of the day, if you ask me frankly, how much people have laptop, it probably still have only 20%. The question comes, do you feel teaching through a mobile screen, which is very small in size, having so many other troubles, usually comes with telephone connections, so many things and associated things are attached with that, whether it is possible by mobile technology, we can deliver our education in a deepest route in a better manner. I particularly have some trouble with this. And at the end of the day, so many libraries are talking about we are digital, we are making the digital. There is some background sound. Can anybody please mute his sound? There's some huge noise. Background sound, if it is possible. Okay. So still it is there. Okay, I am my continuing, not just wasting time. So huge dependency.
Somendu, mute.
Huge dependency on mobile technology. But unfortunately, 90% Indian library websites are still incompatible with mobile, because their site was made under the display of a screen like a computer, and if you open it into the mobile, it is not visible. As 80% to 90% users still in mobile, and our library site is not compatible with the mobile, then how it can be suitable for us? We have to think in this direction. So many digital contents have been developed. Yes, everybody is putting so many contents. MOOCs is there, SWAM is there, E is there, ePathshala is there, OER is there, ETD is there in context of education. Every library is trying to make a site and then developing and delivering. At the end of the day, not a contextual ontology, which is very, very essential for a traditional accessing of resources, is available. We are talking about we are age of hyperlink, what there is a need of ontology. Then I am asking, then my intention to ask this, why this IIT Kharagpur, when doing this in this National Digital Library, why they are more stress on developing the ontology before delivering the content into the web? Actually, the problem is not content, because web is full of resources. The problem is getting the resources in real time when the person is really asking for. Still, we are lacking of. Huge number of software tools show an if and theirs is coming. And does any library, except on few, I am not talking about IIT Kanpur, IIT Kharagpur or IIT Delhi, but just tell me how much of library can be possible through the mobile to handle the in-house operations. We are lacking in this direction still, I feel. And fortunate or unfortunate, we are reaching to 5G, but still in my 40 kilometers radius from Banaras, I particularly found childs who are usually complaining me that for reaching your class or for entering into your class, I have to come from my rural place to my city with a cycling of 10 kilometers. And then this particular place, I have little bit of network. After completing the class, again by cycle, I have to reach my home. Yes, in pandemic, I have heard these all words from my students. Still disparity in internet connection. So many digital content, so many electronic services. Therefore, what particularly the need is? As by night we cannot change the bandwidth, as by night we cannot develop all the contents compatible to a computer to mobile, as we cannot develop a one-day software which is capable to make everything to a handstand. What I need, what I believe to need is, from a librarian perspective and from also a teacher's perspective, we have to create content or deliver content by doing some intersections of the services. If we make a one-way footpath or one-way road reach to the destination, probably it will not possible, because we need analytical skill. Analytical skill means what content is used for, why and what and whom. Design skill. A website should not be gathered of so much content that in a mobile small screen, it is unable to read to common people. We have to develop a pedagogical skill to understand the extent of knowledge that a pupil can read or understand by mobile. If I can deliver a book in mobile having 180 pages, does it really reach to the audience for which we mean to? If we convert it completely to a digital content and then I make it, yes, we are completely make it digitized. Does it really reach to the audience for which we are make it digitized? We have to think like this way. Technological skill for today's context, librarians are very, very essential. There is a lack of disparities because IITs or some institutes have very well-equipped staffs who can handle the content and the technology in equal manner. But still, we have to think of 1,000 universities of India, most of which are still situated in remote local places. How their staffs are compatible to handle this technology with the content and in such a way so that it can be reachable or usable to the audience. Because we have to understand the skills of the user for which we are making it. We have to understand how a user handle its mobile, what way it usually handles mobile, what is the extent of knowledge gaining skill. Say, for example, why I'm talking this. As introducer told me, I have served these universities and like that. When I reached to Guru Ghasidas Vishwavidyalaya, Bilaspur, I was I was just surprised to see that pupils are very, very intelligent over here, but they are very scared about English language. If I deliver a single or four words in a stress by English, they are feeling uncomfortable to listen. So many contents we are preparing in English. We are talking about Hindi is our Matri Bhasha. But how much it reach to the people who are common in nature to increase the knowledge of the society. So that therefore I am still thinking, I am just in dilemma. What actually we are making to by making everything in digital, every content in digital. Is it for a particular sect of people or a whole mass? Because the intention of digital technology and its deliberation for gathering to a whole people of on a wide audience. How much this wide audience is really affected with this? If you make all these technologies, pedagogy, design, and analytical in a single part, probably we will not reach the destination for which we are asking for. There is a need for intersection of all this innovation, technology, skills, knowledge in such a manner in a small fraction. Because if we try to make everything and deliver and provide it to our students, we have to understand how much they will able to accept it. Because if everything is digital, they are feeling very uncomfortable to read. Try to understand everybody is not capable of or competent to read of everything. We have to make it in segment wise, and we have to make it in a need based wise, understanding our users for which we are meaning to. What is needed for that? If we are talking about librarians or libraries or the teachers need to be mix the technology, knowledge and everything just to cater the need of the users or our students. One of the greatest things still we are lacking of is called training. Actually, so many informal, formal trainings are there. So many, in fact, probably in every days, few days back, there was a webinar and everybody is talking that we can do like this way, we can do like this way. Now the question comes, there are so many theories, but in practicality, how much it is? And in practicality means by working with that. If we talk about virtual library or virtual visit or virtual issue and return, how much it is effective? We have a digital collection of ebooks, but if we try to issue it by virtually through some this virtual tour into some circulation services, actually what the problem user may have, we have to understand. And how it make to be so simple so that user can make it really useful, that is need to do, or that is need to be understood. Certainly, at the time of providing or doing all, there is excellent need of evidence base. When I was in Bilaspur, one buddy told me, if you are conducting a conference, it has no meaning because मोर ने जंगल में नाचा किसने देखा? Question है, if a peacock dance into the heaven or in a jungle, who looks at? Because it is the regular phenomena of a more to dance in a jungle. If the more comes into the land or into a common place and then spread his wings and looks like a beautiful, then everybody says, yes, I have seen and splendorous things. The question is, what we are doing, still libraries are lacking of to show it or to deliberate it as a form of evidence. It is more important that what we are doing, making it a evidence-based services. And this evidence-based services should be keeping in mind of the community need. Here I am trying to say community means community depends upon the nature of library. If we are talking about academic community, it is nothing but the research scholar, students of PhD, and the students of the masters and postgraduate. But the same academic setup, if it is school, then it is something different. If we are talking about it is special library, which is very much specific to production oriented, then it is different. I am just sharing one of my experience. When I reach to NHPC, just it is a production unit of electric power, which is visibly not seen, electric never be seen. So the people I found, they are very much hard and rude. They doesn't know what actually the user is. And the way I was reaching into the organization, the people was told me, here there is no library at all. There is nothing concept of library. Why you are coming over there? It is not understandable to us why you are posting over here. What the need of library over here? Because we are basically person from production unit. And it was really takes me at least 2 or 3 months to convince to the higher authority that we need a library for what. After that, they gave me a room and I opened the library, what the existence they have. Then I do whatsoever the things. I am not going on that way. But after sometimes what I observed, when there was a tiffin time, when there was a lean time, and when there is off in office, say for example, after 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., when the production is continuing process, then usually they comes to library, sits hours and read the book. And after some years, the manager of that organization asked me one day and tell, we need a display rack because what we are delivering, you are delivering, that should become to the knowledge to the all. And it was surprise to me, for a purchase of 20,000 rack, they spend another 20,000 to make it carry from Delhi to Srinagar in a different mode. They also sanctioned me to purchase of some price software, which is within time was quite high price, to make the library in digitized, or make, you can say, computerized library. It's not that if we are thinking that community we are serving, they are not need of, they doesn't have any interest of, and after reaching on a conclusion that they doesn't need any extension or doing that, then probably we will be nowhere, will be asked for where the librarians are and why the library is. It is very important we have to understand the need of the community. According to, we have to serve ourselves. Everybody is talking about outreach and outreach. Yes, it is very, very important. Outreach activity is very, very important. But at the same time, I request to librarian to build the enrich activities. Why we are not thinking about to make a display rack for local business history, so that other people who are interested in business should come into the library and look for the business history. How to conduct a good research. How much of library has delivered this as an output? We are asking that library is today serving as a in-between persons to take the content digitally and delivering to the output to the user. That's why the position or the importance of library is not visible to common user. Why we are asking for so? It is better to make a display rack or display section to how to conduct a good research. Here to say local history collection. Nobody in BHU, there is a section called Bana Rahe Banaras. And this Bana Rahe Banaras or Banaras, there is a specific collections for Banaras, and all the writers of Banaras, authors of Banaras are projected. How many of libraries have this type of attitude or activities? Because if we are only think of digital, then probably time is not enough to say that we will be survive better in near future. Because everybody is talking about if it is hyperlink, then what there is a need of classification, then what there is a need of catalog. But again, the question, if it is in Mark 21, and if we are not putting the semicolon at the end, then how it is converted into card catalog? Since again it is coming whether there is a need of card catalog or not. Everything is so many correlated. So at the end of the day, professionals and professions is needed. But how we can reach to the people, heart of the people? Rare and valuable collection should be displayed in better manner that usually a library used to display. There is a very important word I was found. Why I not become your friends? Because everybody is taking, British libraries follow those books are which are in use, they are kept in front. But why the books are not being used? If somebody is taking off and paying interest, why I am not become your friends? Keeping few books into the library and attract to the people to say about that these books are also in library, which is not you are reading, probably it is also an important resources for your research or your activity. Image gallery. Image gallery is not what my librarian or my photo, or my activity photo is. Image gallery about what the past, what the library activity, what a university is doing, and participation of students into the image gallery, their art, their activity. Take a photograph from them and paste it into the image gallery. At least that people also communicate to others to come to the library to see my photograph is there. By this way, the people will come to library. Be an artist in a frame like this way. You have to ask to the user to be an artist in a frame. And at the same time, as Dr. Nabi Hassan said, library should be a part for a constructive social network family. Because in present context, to be visible to the world community is very, very essential. And then one day gathering. So many libraries are conducting, but still we are missing out. How to search? I usually deliver lecture throughout India, and when I lively demonstrate, then I used to ask to the participant, give me a search string so that I can find it into the database and show you how the results are. Most of the people still asking me biology, environmental science, carbon modification, like these subjects. Still, we are lacking of what actually the keyword is and what actually the subject is. Librarians are the best person, or the libraries is the best person to explain how to make a good search so that results are coming. Google display 1,20,000 documents per hit per search. But how many people we used to read more than 3 articles of the search result from Google? The story is that recall have no meaning, precision have meaning. How to make it precise? Why not we conduct a program like this? How to understand the quality? Today, everybody were talking about there is a need of quality. How many of us know about that? What is the impact factor of a journal? How it to be calculated? Everybody is talking about this predatory journal. What actually the indicator of a predatory? Because a researcher have a huge pressure to explain or to submit his research by a time. Not everybody is so comfortable that he can do things in time to time. At the end of the day, how he or she, how library can help those people who are in lacking of. I think a library is a suitable place. How to become a self-publisher. Everybody is talking about publishing, copywriting, copylifting. But what extent of this Creative Commons can help to the libraries? It can help to the becoming a self-publisher. How you can exploit your work to the open peer review system like in AXF archive or that all. These all things, if library can project it into the sites or into their display board or conduct a gathering with a mass of 20 people, because usually the great people says if any of experiment or knowledge reaches 2 out of 20, it is huge. It is huge. So if at least 2 people get or well aware of how to make a self-publisher, how to become, how to get the license, how we can search and use the content which is copy-free, not a copyrighted. If it is copyrighted, then how to be talked with the copywriters so that we can get the permission. It's not like that you are not getting the permission from every content. But the problem is there is a lack of knowledge. Sherpa Romeo is there. How many of us know about what the purpose of use of Sherpa is? How to write the review? Because there's a huge tendency, as a teacher I am telling you, I usually found in the thesis, everybody is just trying to make cut and paste of the review of literature by adding the author name. There is a very excellent web open resources called annual reviews. There excellent reviews are there. How to make reviews, how to conduct a review, how to write a review. If libraries can conduct a seminar in like this way, probably it will be more helpful. As well as how to write the references. Everybody knows about MLA and Chicago and all. Now in this internet age, with the use of Zotero or Mendeley or RefWork, how can we convert it to a form so that the international journal will not discuss it in the first place? We have to provide the experience or our knowledge to a student. Library is not necessarily only for digital content. it can also serve, because if library science department teaches, it can only reach to the pupil of library science. But a central library or a library organization, it can hold a conference like this, talk to some experts, and then make a public gathering with a cup of tea, then probably, I particularly believe this will much reach to the wide audience. At the same time, as a generation must not be said to be a generation if it has no value towards ethics. That's why in our VHU, there is a center called Malviya Mulla Anushalan Kendra. I think every institution has some ethics, and what actually the ethics is, how a ethical research is, should and need to be communicated to our next generation to make a society which is really full of scholarship. Come to the first slides. If I come to the scholarship, surroundings by scholarship. Science should be surrounded by scholarship. It is very, very expected, not by some predator or some you can say tenacious thinking is never be expected. That was all my presentation. Thanks to all. Thanks to.
Thank you, Professor Mukherjee. You have raised a very interesting questions, but I don't know who will answer all these questions. There are so many questions you have raised. Thank you. Thank you for your deliberation. Okay, if he has some queries, answer.
Yes, sir. Question is there in the chat box.
Chat box. Please see the chat box and answer the queries.
And the participants are also encouraged to ask him, and also in the chat box also.
Is there anything in the chat box?
No, I think so. Still now, no.
Anything in the chat box?
Sir,
No,
as
sir.
I have looking, it is nothing.
I am not getting anything on chat box. So, should we proceed then?
Yes, sir. Presidential address.
So you have heard two speakers and also keynote speaker. Many of the points that I was thinking of to put before you have already been covered. Still, and it is my time to give my thought to you. Okay, please, can you load it? I don't know how to load. Showman, can you load it? Showman? Hello? Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me? Showman?
Yes. I can hear.
So, can you load that my presentation? Showman, can you load it?
Sir, he is trying. He is trying.
Showman, can you load my PPT? Any technical problem?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There is some technical problem. কি প্রেজেন্ট করতে পারছি না?
সোমেনকে বলেছি আমি তো ইয়ে করতে পারছি না।
Sir, are you using laptop or mobile?
Laptop.
I'm just telling you, please open your presentation first, then I am telling you what you can do.
Presentation.
Open your presentation.
Presentation, yes.
Now come to this one, this screen, that is this Google Meet.
No, I'm unable to go.
Google Meet, you come, sir?
No, I'm unable to do anything.
Okay. So do one thing, sir, if it is possible, simultaneously you cannot do. If you send me the presentation, I can visualize it from here.
I'd already sent to Mullik,
Sir,
Somen Mullik.
I could rejoin, sir.
Huh? You can load.
I could rejoin. Actually, I was out of this network.
Oh. That is why you please load it. I'm unable to do it.
Sir, just a moment. Is it visible, sir?
Now it is visible. It is visible. So let me make my presentation. So this is post-COVID librarianship challenges and prospects. Next, please. এখান থেকে হ্যান্ডেল করতে পারবো না, তোমাকেই করতে হবে।
ওকে স্যার।
এটা একটু বড় করা যাবে না?
ইয়েস স্যার।
The invisible enemy. Yes. Now I can see it. Invisible enemy named COVID-19 that has been ravaging our Mother Earth for over 2 years and is yet to scare mankind has caused pandemic and brought a lot of changes in all spheres of our life. I have to borrow for that. It's Impact has been felt in libraries and information centers as well to bring changes in the types of the job and the way they provide services. Now that the pandemic situation has improved, the question that is the mindset of information professionals is that what will be future of librarianship? Next. Manager has not expressed this feeling in the following words. As winter turns to spring, turns to summer, hope has been writing that the COVID-19 pandemic will subside months have passed. Everyone is beginning to imagine and plan for the post-pandemic future. What will it be like? When it comes to library services, it's hard to think that we'll simply return to pre-pandemic business as usual. Instead of a return to the old normal or in a new normal, we may experience the next normal. Next. Now, COVID-19 aftermath. COVID-19 first appeared in late 2019, gradually engulfed the entire world rapidly, compelling declaration of lockdowns by the governments of different nations, India being no exception. The doors of libraries were suddenly closed without prior notice. It was a great setback. There is an absence of pandemic plans, a lack of mindset and training for work at home, lack of resources, equipment, and infrastructure for online working. On the other hand, the instantaneous changing information-seeking behavior of library users and their lack of digital literacy skill aggravate the situation. Next. As mentioned, Jessica Hilburn, an expert in USA, many libraries, especially smaller and rural institutions, were and are not fully prepared for a shutdown of such immediacy and magnitude. Most disaster plans account for fires, floods, and other somewhat expected natural disasters, not global pandemics. Without official warning or time to plan, library administrators had to feverishly call the board, contact staffers, and post about the closure of on social media, all the while trying to figure out what the path forward looked like. Today, we still do not have a firm grasp on the path. Condition in our too was similar. Fortunately, at this juncture, it was internet that came to our rescue, and many activities started to be performed online from home. It's difficult to imagine what would have been our condition if there were no internet. Many librarians who had necessary infrastructure started providing online services during the pandemic. During lockdown, footfall in libraries drastically dropped and even stopped in many cases. But when lockdown was withdrawn, there was no much improvement in footfall as the users got panicked due to spread of the disease, though they were inconvenienced for being not able to collect the necessary information or resources. It's true that by now many libraries have opened their doors, but in most cases it has not been possible for them to restore all normal services that were being provided before the spread of COVID. Next. Now, availability of e-information resources. Availability of relevant e-information resources in adequate number is key to efficient e-information services. The use of digital collections and libraries' investments in them had already been increasing relative to physical collections in recent years. In 2020, they set new records. E-book vendor Overdrive reported a 33% increase to 430 million digital items borrowed worldwide. Next. Though libraries in India are now acquiring e-information resources in larger quantity, yet it has not been possible to stop acquiring print resources for various reasons. Hence, all the needs of the users could not be met through the information services started during the pandemic. Fortunately, many libraries have collaborated with leading publishers. These publishers have spontaneously opened up their materials to the general public. Several thousand high-quality journals are being made accessible directly from the publishers' websites and not through the intranet of universities and other organizations. Various non-profit organizations have aggregated all these publishers' resources from their website for the benefit of the public. Realizing need of information during the pandemic, value-added information services were designed by many librarians. Running virtual information services, curating the information sources, providing comprehensive searching for evidence-based information, maintaining electronic interlibrary loan services, as well as maintaining referral services are some of the notable efforts by the librarians. Interestingly, many innovative services were also initiated by some librarians and library enthusiasts during this period. Some such things have been already been told by Dr. Nabi Hassan. He has quoted some such examples. I am also quoting some examples. For example, in a remote part of Ethiopia, one charitable organization came up with a novel way of protecting children off school because of the pandemic from forced labor, camels bearing books, that is camel library. In Canada and USA, some libraries employed drones for delivering books to their users during the pandemic. In India too, some innovative methods were employed for serving the library users during the above period. The local municipality of Alappuzha in Kerala arranged delivery of books at the doorsteps of users of the municipality library and 17 other libraries located within the jurisdiction of the municipality. A library in Kozhikode and another library in Aizawl also similarly arranged delivery of required books at the doorsteps of users. The librarian of Malda District Library in West Bengal sent version of books requisitioned by the users through WhatsApp. Newtown Library in Kolkata opened up the digital section for free download of ebooks in English and Bengali. A government school teacher from Madhya Pradesh set up a mini school and library on the two wheels on a scooter for students in rural areas. Students from several schools in Kolkata got online access to digitized books which are copyright free. Distributed books available in school libraries, reaching them to the doorsteps of students. But perhaps the most innovative step by the mobile phone libraries, each with 10 smartphones and Wi-Fi connectivity, students not having access to computers. And there are many efforts in different countries and different parts of the world. Challenges for a library will not be required to provide resources and services that they have been providing in pre-COVID period. Users will be reluctant to physically visit the library for satisfying their needs. They expect getting libraries staying at home. In other words, online service will get priority of the users. In the circumstances, library and information personnel will face challenges which they will Librarian function professionals will have to take various other measures besides meeting the above challenges in the post-pandemic future for meeting the needs and expectations of the users, as also for their safety and security. Christopher Cox, Dean of Libraries, Clemson University, USA, has made some predictions regarding the post-pandemic scenario of academic libraries, which will be quite relevant in case of other genre of libraries too. Next. Some of the important predictions are predictions regarding collections. The value of print collections will diminish as libraries have been trying to eliminate access to such collections due to concern of virus spread. Mass digitization efforts will be taken up and access will get priority over archiving. More money and time will be spent on developing electronic collections. Long-term journal subscription deals will be cancelled in favor of title-by-title purchase to save money, and they will rely on resource sharing agreements. Next.